Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to another video. In this one, I want to take a look at when the possible reveal and release date for the next Battlefield game is going to be coming up. Clearly, we saw a bunch of great games and trailers revealed now at the Summer Games Fest, but Battlefield, surprisingly, was not among them. I think many of us expected it to be. There's a number of reasons why. So in this video, I want to take a look at how the market is going to be shaping up around some of the possible release windows for the next Battlefield game, and maybe more importantly, exactly when you can expect to hear something about it and when the game will ultimately come out. As always, to stay up to date with everything Battlefield, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I do my best to update you guys on pretty much every little bit of news that comes out about the game. And needless to say, when it does release, I'm going to be covering everything to do with it. So if that's something that interests you, then this is the channel for you. And as always, thank you guys so much for your support. So thank you to you guys who came out to both of my streams. We actually watched the Summer Games Fest on the Friday and then the Xbox Games Showcased on the Sunday together on the channel here. And that was a blast. Even though we didn't see Battlefield revealed, which was, you know, kind of a bummer, I still had a really good time. So thank you to everybody who came out. The reasons people thought that it was going to be revealed there is that Andrew Wilson sort of indicated that the gaming market had shifted favorably, and they had now a good release window for Battlefield 6, which was going to be revealed this summer. He actually said that it was going to be this summertime, and if you take a look at the summer, there were only really two big possibilities. There was the Summer Games Fest, and then there's Gamescom all the way in August. So with the Summer Games Fest now behind us, I think people have started to turn their sights to Gamescom, but it's in August, right? So that's kind of late if they are planning to release the game in their normal release window of October or November this year. So I think there are two different theories here that I have for both the reveal and the release of the game. It could be that we do see the reveal at Gamescom in August, and I think if that turns out to be the case, then it is almost a given that Battlefield 6 will not release this year. I just think it's far too close to that normal release window that DICE and EA like to go for, and in that case, it's almost certain that it's going to be releasing next year. They've said it will be coming out this fiscal year. Now, EA's fiscal year ends at the end of March 2026, so technically, the game could come out in the first 3 months next year. That would also give them enough clearance before GTA 6 comes out, you know, if they happen to be worried about that particular title. Now, the other possibility, of course, is that EA just decide to have their own standalone event. Now, EA Play events have kind of been lacking recently. Ever since COVID came along, they've pretty much just done away with these big, larger EA Play events. But it's not out of the question. EA totally could announce some sort of large event where they show off maybe Battlefield and also other games, because they didn't have a very big presence at the Summer Games Fest at all. In fact, I think the only thing they showed off was Split Fiction, which is coming out for the Nintendo Switch 2. But what I think is the most probable is that if there is going to be a standalone EA event, they will need to give people a subsequent heads up about it. Because think about it, right? They need to get the press involved. Maybe you're going to have content creators going out there. At the very least, you're going to have large gaming magazines like PC Gamer, IGN, all of those guys that you're going to want to be able to attend those events and prepare to cover it. So you can't just like reveal it really at the drop of a hat, or at least I feel if they do that, they're kind of missing out on a massive marketing opportunity there. So I think if we don't hear anything, maybe this week, perhaps next week, about an upcoming event, and DICE and EA are just completely silent about this, we could well be looking all the way into August at Gamescom for a reveal. Now, as for when the game actually releases, I'm kind of split on this. I mean, of course, as a player and as a content creator, really, I would love to get my hands on the game ASAP, right? If it comes out this year, it's great. As we saw from Summer Games Fest, there are really no great FPSs upcoming here that are going to be able to contend with Battlefield as long as it's actually a half-decent Battlefield game. It doesn't even have to be the best Battlefield game you've ever played. It just has to be like an 8 out of 10. It has to be pretty good. But on the other hand, I do think that the Battlefield Labs testing stuff that we've seen leaked out looks kind of half-finished. You know, it's got a long way to go. There's a lot to be iterated upon there. There are a lot of bugs that need to be solved. It's just a completely unfinished game. And yes, whilst it is maybe a month or two behind the mainline build of the game, it's obvious that they still have a very long way to go. And so if they are planning to release the game later on this year, I do find that a little bit worrying. And if they told me instead that we're actually going to release the game in March, you know, that would be perhaps a little bit more comforting, and I'd have more faith that they'd actually be able to deliver on a solid game at launch. But let's just go over a little bit of the competition here, which was of course announced at the Summer Games Fest. So first of all, we've got another Call of Duty game. No surprises there, we got Call of Duty Black Ops 7. So straight after Black Ops 6, we're getting Black Ops 7. That's kind of weird to me, but I don't know, Activision, you do you. For anybody who watched the trailer with the robot, I had absolutely no idea when I was sat there watching this with you guys that that was a Call of Duty trailer. Like, I could have been fooled into thinking this was anything but. Needless to say, it's almost certainly going to be another rehashed game, very similar to all of the predecessors. It's going to have broken SBMM, it's going to have broken aim assist, it's almost certainly going to see the same Omni movement that they've been pushing with Black Ops 6, they're going to continue that. Maybe they're going to have some sort of gimmick in there to sort of say, hey guys, this is a new and different game, but we all know at its core, it's just going to be another COD game. And honestly, I don't really understand why people buy Call of Duty every single year. I always try the betas, and in recent years, not once has their beta or alpha tests convinced me to actually purchase one of their games. But maybe that's just me. Then we've got Warzone. Of course, Warzone, for anybody who's been paying attention to that game, is not doing well. I don't really follow or play the game, but I do follow a bunch of content creators, and that is like their main game, and they are not happy with it at the moment. It is absolutely chock full of hackers. Doesn't seem like a very pleasant experience, so even Battle Royale fans are going to be looking towards, of course, games like Arc Raiders, but maybe also the new Battlefield when its time comes. I would actually say that Arc Raiders is probably, in fact, the biggest competitor to Battlefield, as strange as that sounds, because clearly, like, that's an extraction shooter, and it's third person, it doesn't really have that many similarities to Battlefield, but it's clear that a lot of people in the Battlefield community are looking towards that game. I haven't played it yet, but I've heard that it's really, really solid. There are, of course, ties between Mbox Studios. That studio has a lot of ex-DICE people working on the game, so yeah, you know, there are definitely going to be people in the community who are looking to play that game. Do I think it's going to really compete with Battlefield? No, probably not, but I think if it comes out at the same time, and it's now been announced for the 30th of October, I believe, then I can definitely see people wanting to play both games at the same time. I can see content creators wanting to create content about both games at the same time, so that is going to damage Battlefield a little bit. There was really a lot of controversy at the Summer Games Show, and one of the big points was that Arc Raiders actually didn't get released. And what they did is they essentially had a countdown timer leading up to the Summer Game Fest as if something huge was going to be happening. And the people working on Arc Raiders, the marketing team, the PR team, everybody over at Embark, they knew what the community were thinking. You know, it was all over. You really couldn't avoid it. The words on everybody's lips was that Arc Raiders was probably going to be shadow dropped at the Summer Games Fest, or at least a beta was going to drop. And then all they did is they announced the release date. And I think everybody was massively disappointed there. I really think Embark should have kind of read the room a bit with that. Like, they could have come out and tempered expectations and said, hey guys, like, we're going to have something cool to show you, but we're not going to be releasing the game, so, like, get that out of your minds. But instead, they kind of strung people along and really let them believe that the game was going to be dropping then, only for that to be, like, a countdown to another countdown until the game releases, really. And then the only other FPS that I can really think about is Splitgate 2. Now, Splitgate 2, outside of being quite dissimilar to Battlefield, it's an arena shooter, it's extremely fast-paced, it doesn't really fit into the same niche as Battlefield outside of the fact that it is a shooter, but they've really been shooting themselves in the foot over the past weekend. So things weren't really that great with Splitgate 2 to begin with because they've been having server problems. Anybody who was trying to get into the beta, they really couldn't. They had to wait like a week to get in and actually play it in a stable condition. But then they decided to have the bright idea to have one of their lead developers, or I think even like the lead of the studio, come out on stage at the Summer Game Fest, where they probably paid hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get a spot there. And what did he use that time to do? Well, let me paint you a picture. He came out wearing a hat that said, "Make FPS great again," which obviously has certain political connotations to it. He's since come out and said that this wasn't a political statement, And I think once you've had to start defending that kind of thing, then maybe you realize that it sort of was a political statement. Some people are saying that it was like a dog whistle, and, you know, intentional or not, he definitely made a massive blunder just wearing that hat at all. I don't know who thought that would be a great idea to wear that out on the massive stage that is the Summer Game Fest. But Splitgate has been marketed as a game going back to roots, going back to the good old days of arena FPS, games like Quake, games like Unreal Tournament, like Halo. And basically what they said is that on June the 6th, they were going to have a big announcement. Is it a story mode? No, they told us it's going to be something way bigger than that. So people started to get really excited at this point. They were like, oh my god, what could be better than them adding a campaign to the game? And so he gets up on stage with this swagger, wearing his sweatpants, and he's shitting over Call of Duty, saying, you guys make the same game year after year.
Because I grew up playing Halo, and I'm tired of playing the same Call of Duty every year.
And we need more Halo, man. We need Titanfall 3. And kind of insinuating there that, of course, EA killed Titanfall 3 by bringing out Apex Legends, right? Which is a Battle Royale. And what does he announce for the game? A Battle Royale mode, which is the most modern, trend-chasing thing you can possibly imagine adding to your game. He even went so far, right before he walked off the stage, and dropped an F-bomb.
And it's fucking awesome.
Just to try and convince us of how cool his new game is. Now, I have to say, I do agree with what he said. I agree with the message. I agree with the sentiment. I do agree. Call of Duty is the same year after year, and, like, enough of it. And I do hope that games go back to the way they used to be in the good old days. But I think the way he delivered it was just absolutely terrible. I have no idea. Like, I don't know if 1047 Studios, who make Splitgate 1 and 2, I don't know if they have really a PR department at all, if they have a marketing department, or if they just let, like, the lead devs go and say it and do whatever the heck they want. Because if they do have an department like that, there is no way they should ever have, like, signed off on him doing that on stage. And then if you go and take a look at some of the stuff that they post here on Twitter, like, we've literally got ex-Call of Duty developers having, like, shit-throwing fights with probably the same guy here who's in charge of the Splitgate 2 X account. You know, and he's saying stuff like, which Call of Duty does your team make again? I can't tell them apart. And then he's replying stuff like, talk shit, expect shit coming back your way. I can handle it. And it's so unprofessional and immature, I can't even explain. For, like, literal lead developers of gaming studios to be acting this way online and on a stage is kind of mind-blowing. I know some people like it because it's kind of not what you generally see from these shows, but ask anybody who runs a business, and I don't really run a business, I just run a YouTube channel, right? And even I know this is just not the way to be. This is not the way to behave. Sad thing is, of course, that Splitgate 2 is actually a rather enjoyable game, and they have literally just completely handicapped any chance of building a good player base. Reviews over on Steam are now mixed at 62%, and if you go down and look at all the negative reviews, it's literally about him getting up on stage and sort of gaslighting the community by saying that he was going to be bringing it back to the good old days, only to go ahead and add a Battle Royale. I did do a video the other day going a bit more in depth on this, on the actual gameplay side, what I thought of the Battle Royale and what I thought of the arena modes, and for the most part, I thoroughly enjoyed the game, so yeah. Needless to say, I don't think Splitgate 2 is going to be a big competitor for Battlefield this year. So I'm going to leave the video there, guys. Feel free to leave me your comments down below and let me know what you thought about all of this. What do you think of the Splitgate 2 fiasco? What do you think of Call of Duty? Are you somebody who's going to be picking up Black Ops 7 just like Black Ops 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? I don't know. I'm certainly not, unless they do something really revolutionary somehow and knock it out of the park. But I don't see that happening. Arc Raiders, probably going to give that one a try, and it could well be a successful title there. But yeah, let me know your guesses. When do you think the next Battlefield game is going to be revealed? When do you think we're ultimately going to see the release of the game? Do you think it's going to be at that regular EA window of October or November? Or maybe, you know, in the early year 2026. As always, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for more content here on the channel. Also, head over to Twitch. I've been streaming a lot more over there, so for anybody interested in that, by all means, feel free to stop by. And I'll see you guys in the next video.